So should we just go ahead and
Live?
Yeah, we're live. All right. I'm calling to order the City of Salem Solid Waste Committee meeting for March, what is the date? March 20th? 19th?
Yes.
This is February. This is the minutes, I guess. Sorry. I'm calling to order the Solid Waste Committee for City of Salem for March 19th. And I am Councilor Nishioka Chair.
Deanna Gwen, Ward 4.
Mickey Bonnie, Ward 8, City Councilor.
Great, thank you. And then would the staff please introduce themselves?
Josh Engelson, Chief Financial Officer.
Kelly Langenbach, Budget Manager.
Sherman Thomas, Management Analyst.
Juliana Douglas, Climate Action Plan Manager.
All right, thank you, everyone. So let's see, we also have, I guess Brian is supposed to be here.
Yeah, he's on his way.
Okay, and then Juliana, did you introduce yourself? Thank you, okay. So what I was looking at was the minutes for February. So that's why, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes from the February 19th meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. Any questions or any changes to the minutes that anyone noticed? I didn't, so shall we all say minutes pass? Yay.
I guess I do want to
you
say
got
that
changed.
I was absent, but I did read through the minutes and I did watch the meeting, so I will vote.
I appreciate you
favor as
so
well.
much for watching all the meetings. That takes a great deal of time. So thank you very much, Deanna. So motions passed, minutes are approved. Past minutes are approved. And so now we are to public comment. Mr. Shepke.
Thank you. Have a handout?
No, I haven't started, somebody else.
I get all my handouts.
Thank you.
I can get the timer right.
Okay. Okay.
Are you gonna come and sit next to Deanna and I here?
Wherever you say.
And then you can hand us the handouts when you arrive. We have Jim Shepke
Thank you, sir.
coming in to provide some testimony.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Jim Shepke. I'm here representing 357 Oregon. And I wanted today for you to all have a copy of our latest leachate pollution report. We have been doing this since 2020. And as you know, we're very opposed to the city taking leachate. We think we're polluting the Willamette River. We don't think pollution is the solution, as some people think. This is the latest. Thankfully, it was down a little bit in terms of gallons in 2025, as you can see. It dipped a little bit, but it's still 24,829,700 gallons, which is a whole lot. And so I think you may know that Corvallis has stopped doing this as of this year because of public concern about it. They went to their city council. Their city council had a discussion about it and they decided to stop because it's a pollution of our river. We were supposed to have stopped that under Tom McCall. I thought we were supposed to stop dumping stuff in the river, but we still do. So you have this report. We'd really appreciate some discussion of how long we're going to do this. I think I heard from Mr. Josie once, I think, that we might have a contract that extends through next year, maybe. So that would be the perfect time to not renew that contract and stop polluting our river.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate you
Appreciate it.
coming in
Bet.
and expressing your concerns with leachate.
Right.
I was just speaking about it at the materials management meeting. Okay, so, we are now there are no action items, and we are to management update. There's no upcoming events, but just that alone lets me trigger that, Ryan Zink has joined us. Thank you very much. He's usually the one that in the past has provided information about any, things that were happening in the community, because upcoming events, so we don't have anything right now, so I guess you don't have anything either.
They're not on the agenda, but there are a few
Yeah,
in Juliana's
sorry.
presentation.
Oh, all right, you
Yeah.
do. Do you wanna talk about that then?
Well,
In the presentation.
yeah, I think it'll
It'll
flow.
fit into the presentation. All right, great, thank you. And so we're gonna move right into that opportunity, to recycle report and, go right ahead, Juliana.
Sorry, let me.
You take your time.
Okay. So we have. So we have annual opportunity to recycle report, and it is predominantly about our communications regarding what people can and can't recycle and how they can access recycling. And this requirement is calendar year. It's due by the end of February. We've had ours submitted for the city, and this we work a lot with DEQ Kat over there. She does a pre-review before we submit and lets us know of any things that we might want to be changing. And it is really helpful for us to just remember what we are trying to push out in terms of messaging to the community. And again, the city's primary responsibility in the opportunity to recycle report is around communications, but we also do report on some of the activities that our haulers do, and some of the items that are occurring in the community and things like where the recycling depots are. So those are some of the requirements of this. And here's just a snapshot of one of the portions. We go through our community newsletters, and we put in the items that are covered by the opportunity to recycle report. So we have a couple changes coming for 2026. In orange, I've highlighted items that we are no longer going to be doing or that aren't going to account for that. And then in green are the items that we are going to add. So the first one I want to talk about is the weekly recycling. We are going to be adding that portion, but we have applied for an exception to that. So we aren't going to be providing a weekly recycling service. What we are saying is that our alternative delivery is that we have a larger capacity in a bi-weekly service than would be required in a weekly service, therefore giving folks a greater access to that than they would have otherwise had. And this is something that Ryan brought up in August of 2025, and that was because 3 of the locations were not eligible for the city of Salem. We were previously qualified under having expanded recycling depots. 3 of the 7 locations did not qualify, so we would have had to find 3 more new locations.
Do you know what the 3 are that don't qualify?
That was in the August report. I don't have that, but I can provide that for you.
I can go back and look at those.
Brian, do you know?
So, I'm sorry, what was the question?
What were the 3 that don't qualify?
So the former Garden Services location that is now owned and operated by Republic Services, they removed the public access depot there. And so that's one of the locations. Because under RMA, in order to continue qualifying or for that, us to be able to claim that, and based on our population, we need 7. So that the number 7 was not the threshold, that's a new threshold. So we needed to add locations in order to continue to meet that threshold. So yes, the Garden Services was removed, so we weren't able to count that anymore. But even if that was all the same locations were able to be counted, the threshold to meet that qualification increased. So there's kind of a 2-part thing. One, we lost at least 1 or a couple locations. I'm trying to remember what the other one was. Then also the threshold to meet that also increased as well based on our population. I think we need 1 per 25,000.
Thank you.
Yep.
And in that meeting, the solid waste committee did agree with moving forward with the expanded recycling or the weekly recycling. Even though it's not a weekly recycling, we're providing a greater capacity and it has a lower emissions factor for that
Because they
capacity.
don't have the truck going around. Okay.
Yes.
Midville uses that same kind of alternate program, if you will. Again, they don't provide weekly recycling, but to meet that weekly recycling, you have to provide a minimum, I think it's 25 gallons or 20 gallons.
Really small.
Yeah, it's like 20 something gallons, I would say 25 gallons weekly recycling capacity, but our 90 gallon every other week is nearly 4 times that capacity. And so it more than meets the intent of the weekly recycling qualification. And so based on, this is essentially, it ends up being an alternate program. And so we're able to use this alternate program that meets the intent of one of these, of the weekly recycling to give us the box, to check the box for one of those that we need for the year.
So just so that I'm clear, this is all part of the reason why we Salem had to separate from the money that we were receiving. This is not, this is
No.
just, this is
It's totally
another.
separate.
Okay, I'm so confused. So whose rules are we trying to follow then?
We're making them up. No.
I'm kidding. Well, thanks.
So this is under the Opportunity to Recycle Act expanded for the recycling modernization.
Okay,
So
so,
it's their rules. We have to meet the criteria on here. We have to meet 7 items.
got it, okay.
And so of those, we have all of the possible, and then we chose
The ones
those,
that
and
you-
then
okay.
we have some changes because they're requiring different things and counting things differently. So we have these changes coming up.
And these are, and this meeting will be do this as well.
Yeah, so we won't be unique in counting weekly recycling and having bi-weekly recycling. I believe Kat said that it's quite common.
I appreciate all the work that you guys are having to do for this because it is a lot. And thank you to the haulers in Marion County. I can't even keep it straight. I'm on these 2 committees. So.
Other item is for our commercial recycling campaign. What we had counted in the past was Marion Sustainable Business. And that network was staffed by Marion County, and they were doing a fantastic job. Rachel over there had it going for I think 10 years. And they did regular workshops with the businesses, helping people get Green Biz certified. It was just a lot more capacity with their staff member who's dedicated to that. To avoid it completely shuttering, I stepped in and I've been doing part of that as part of the climate action work, and it's not at the same level that Rachel had it staffed at. And so that won't continue to qualify. For 2025, we got that to qualify not only for City of Salem, but for all of Marion County. So people didn't have to scramble quite as much in choosing an alternative program. But until that's properly staffed, we're going to change what we are counting moving forward. I am still trying to cobble together that network. Actually, earlier this year, they informed us of a grant going out, and we were able to help 8 businesses in the City of Salem who had signed in through Green Biz Network to get those small grants to help do some green activities. So
For all that work.
yeah, so that was a good thing. Definitely, it could be better if there's more staffing behind it, but at this point, we're pretty excited about the things that it can do. And then moving forward, we have to change what we're submitting for our report, and we are changing it to infrastructure for reuse. And what we are counting for this is the library. It is a great infrastructure for reuse. And the only thing that we really have to do to count the activities that we're doing for that is have some social media and have some city messaging go out about how the library is infrastructure for reuse. So it's more of a marketing thing than changing in our operations. The library got a grant from Oregon DEQ a while ago to start the Library of Things, and that's been a really successful way to reduce waste in our community. And then another thing that I actually found this out from going through the activity of the Opportunity to Recycle report. I found out that we have a lot of fantastic groups in our community that do reuse activities. And so I've been working with Circular Salem, and leading into your upcoming events, we do have some upcoming events in the community. So on April 11th, there's a children's clothing swap.
Oh,
Again,
Neighborhood Association
Yes.
Scan and what's the other one?
Highland.
Yes.
And then there's also the Salem Garage Sale Day. So these are both opportunities to utilize some items that have already been made and reduce waste in our community. So I highly encourage folks to participate in those.
And can you tell me more about the garage sale day? Like where?
June 6th, and right now they are getting people to sign up to host garage sales. It's neighborhood
Groups, okay, so it's not like a single location, it's.
multiple locations.
I'll look forward to seeing some information on that, thank you.
So those are kind of the 2 big changes for the recycling program. It's going to be changing from counting the expanded depots, which there are still some in the community, but we aren't going to be counting that as our qualifying activity. And we are changing that to weekly recycling, which we've applied for an alternative program. So we have bi-weekly recycling that provides sufficient capacity for that. And then our waste prevention program, we're removing the commercial campaign. However, we are still doing those activities. We just aren't counting them for this. And then we are adding the library as reuse infrastructure. Any questions on these changes?
I'm just curious, aside from the Library of Things, what's the other library infrastructure there?
The library allows people to not have to buy
Books, just in itself, okay. Awesome.
and again, other communities in Oregon will use this same activity in the same manner.
Is the fact that we have a branch library,
Yeah,
maybe, like the West Salem?
I mean, there are some communities that have libraries that are smaller than the West Salem branch that are counting it as that. I think that we qualify just by having a library. I don't think that there's any size limitations.
Like the library in general, meaning both locations.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
May I ask one more question on the Salem Garage Day? This is more personal. Can one sign up still to be part of this? Like, if I got my neighborhood to be part of it?
There's a
QR
QR code.
Okay, it says check back on the 30th, so that's,
That's
okay,
for the interactive map.
yeah.
I think the QR code is live now, Counselor. I think if you just scan that code with your
I'll
phone,
do
you
that.
can sign up.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
This one's too tight.
Are we good to move on?
Yes,
All right.
not to delay you any longer.
No, you're good. All the questions are good questions. So the waste minimization policy, I don't wanna go too much over it since we discussed it in our last, meeting, but I'll just kind of hit on the highlights. This is a draft. We encourage conversations and edits. I was asked for a aspirational but somewhat theoretically achievable, so that's what we based this off of. The metrics that were selected are support for population growth, and the goal is based on current waste characterization with a 90-ish% compliance rate, and it aligns with state and climate action plan goals.
So, Joanna, before you continue, just to orient everyone, the policy, so the solid waste policy is part of the packet in your attachments. The statement and where it would go, it starts on page 11 of the packet. And it's everything that's red underlined would be added
Okay.
and that you've seen before. And then the gray highlighted are things that staff added as new that you have not seen before
Okay.
based on your feedback.
Okay,
So just to orient you to overlook it.
Thank you. Just already jumping back. And then some of the prioritizations of this are waste prevention, promoting circular economy, reducing food waste, and other waste of concerns, electronic, textile, and hazardous. And then we are also interested in promoting some of the state initiatives, so the uniform statewide collection list. We want it to be mindful of environmental justice, and we want it to limit incineration to legally required circumstances. And here we do, one of the adjustments we had in here, we wanted to also acknowledge that there are times that incineration is more environmentally beneficial. Before I get any side eyes, one of the items that we have under consideration is biochar. So that is when you would deal with your wood waste in a way to make activated charcoal. That is a form of incineration, and it has a lot of climate benefits. It's on Project Drawdown as one of the most beneficial climate activities for that type of waste. And so we are considering that, so to make sure that we don't have anything that's malaligned in this policy, we did make a little caveat for that. And then the other thing is we were asked to have this not be a zero waste policy, because those often tend to be press release policies and not have a lot of substance to them or a lot of action behind them. And then I think that we went over all this last time. Data is only available at the county level, and it's not every year that we have these large studies done. So we aren't looking every single year at progress. Here, just going through some of our stats and the goal, again, we're looking at what if we make a 56% reduction from 2016 baseline. So the only real goal in there would be 823 some-ish pounds per capita annually, or about 2.25 pounds per person per day. And then our next slide, just to get us all on the same page about how much waste is being generated. And this is the waste, again, it's not available every single year. It's the waste from 1992 to 2025. A couple things of note, and we also put in the 2016 baseline is the orange dot here. During recession years, we do see the dip in the waste generation, or sorry, waste disposed, and then the pretty significant spike in 2021. That was due to the wildfire waste.
Oh, wow, I was thinking COVID.
No, actually COVID, there is a little caveat in the policy. COVID did have a lot of impacts on waste characterization. It didn't have significant impacts on waste generation.
Interesting. Would have thought it would have. Yeah.
I mean, I remember that switching from commercial to residential as more people work from home, but
Yes.
overall the waste was pretty similar, right?
Yeah, workplaces end up taking care of a lot of personal waste, you know, lunch and, you know, and all kinds of things, so, yeah. But, I would have thought it would be more.
Yeah, and then just so everyone is clear on this, next slide. I used all of the previous, waste disposed data to do the projections. I did, however, use a normalized 2021, so it didn't impact, how we were, looking at those future projections.
Okay.
But we do see recession years have a dip, and then natural disasters have significant spikes. So one of Councilor Barney's suggestions was have interim waste goals, and this was very difficult to come up with, so we took some stabs at it. We hope that this is kind of in line with what you all are thinking. So we wanted our first goal, since we're already, you know, a bit into 2026. We wanted our first goal to be 2030, and we want that to be trimming the current curve that is projected up. So we want it to be starting to have a downward turn, yes.
Start to see a little step down.
And then we're looking at 2035 to have a bit more of a step down, doing some projections of the state implementation of RMA for the multifamily. That would have about a total of 125% of current projections. So it would have about 125% of what we had in 2016 in 2035. And then when we're doing that projection, with that in mind, we would still be looking at a 13% reduction from the business as usual projection. And then for the 2040, for that one, we are looking for a 78% reduction, and in that one, we would be seeing about 128% of the 2016. If we look at the business as usual and multifamily, and in this timeframe, we would be implementing the composting part of the RMA. So still more reductions from the business as usual projection, but that's kind of where we're at. And then finally, the 2050 goal, that would be the 56%, and that's looking at about 2.2 pounds per person daily.
You had fun working with those numbers.
It actually was a lot of fun. So we have here is the projection, our 2016 disposed, our 2022, and then really fortunately, our 2025 was barely over the 2022. So it is looking like we're at least holding stable, if not going in the right direction. So
That's great.
yes, so that is something that I think makes this slightly more feasible. Again, we're we're not the trash police, and so the feasibility of any of this would really be how people participate in the
Behavior
waste
factor.
systems.
Well, by 2050, we're all gonna be driving slow, behaving ourselves and properly taking care of our waste.
We can manifest that into existence.
Wow.
Talking about the charred wood, in Japan, they char wood that they build with because it's more resilient to actual fires. Their houses don't burn because the wood's already been burnt. It's a whole building concept. Like, wow, it'd be maybe nice to make sure we could utilize it.
Didn't realize that. Blowtorch to the outside of my
And it
house.
actually makes them, it makes the wood so much stronger that it can even help resist earthquakes.
Opposite effect.
Everything goes.
Is that
Yes.
anything else?
That
This
is
is
all
really
that I have, but I did want to open it up for conversations, discussion.
Anyone have any questions for Juliana?
I think you did a great job with,
Yeah.
with setting some goals. Yeah, I mean, aspirational, but good, really good. I like having the steps, especially multifamily in 2035. I think that's gonna be a challenge, something we're gonna continue to work on. It's not that far off.
It's not, it'll come fast. So, Gordon, do you have any?
I don't, I'm good.
All right. Again, thank you very much. Thank you for working hard. Thank you for the red lines and the gray areas in the policy. Do we need to make any motions on this policy, or is that gonna be next time, or?
I think we left this open to just
Okay.
have discussion and more consideration. If you all are ready to make a motion, you're welcome to forward this on to.
Well, the
city
next
council.
agenda item says discussion
Oh.
about that.
Discussion about it, discussion about
Right.
the
Just
public
a,
policy.
just discussion about the policy.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
so I didn't know that that's what you meant, I read
I
this
was,
last
I was,
night.
I was basically asking if we needed to.
Oh,
We can definitely bring it back as a formal action item next time if that's what the community is more comfortable with. Or you can make a motion now, either way works.
I would like to bring it back with the caveat, I'd like to find a way to get, encourage that we get some feedback from the community on this. Whether it's better for here or whether it's better for city council, either way. But I'd also like to get some input as to,
Yeah, I understand this would be a policy that we can approve here and doesn't need to go to council, or will it need to?
It will need to go to
Okay.
council.
Then, yes, I think, so why, do you want to have some time for public testimony at this committee next month meeting? Is that what you're asking?
well, if we're not necessarily, if we're gonna be doing it, have that option potentially at council. I just wanted to make sure there was
Well, we
one
would
place,
have an
one
option.
or the other, and so it's up to the committee whether.
I guess we'd be curious what that looks like. Is it an open house? Is it a survey? Are you thinking a public hearing? Cause I think when it comes to council, generally, I've been on special orders of business, but it wouldn't necessarily invite people to come and provide information. So just curious what avenue you'd be looking for there.
Oh, boy, I'm just thinking, having the time for maybe the neighborhood associations to announce it. Just to get the word out that it's coming up, and I don't know. I don't wanna bog down the process necessarily.
I mean, another option is we don't have to take it to council immediately. If you guys would make a recommendation, either this time or next time, then we could wait a little bit to do some outreach, like at neighborhood associations about the policy.
Okay, well, that sounds good, that we can maybe do the recommendation next time, but get the word out a little bit, maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
It's just, what comes to mind for me is what I have been saying ever since I got on council, and that is when things like this, we talk about them at a committee and we make a decision to move it forward, then like Josh said, it's a special order of business or it goes in the consent calendar and the cake is baked by the time it gets there. So
Right.
you're saying, I don't want to present a baked cake, I want it beforehand, and I totally agree. So for me, I mean, if we really want public input, why don't we do a public hearing or, you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what the best method would be, actually,
Yeah.
just to get the information out.
Well, but I don't know that a neighborhood association does it either unless Juliana's gonna go to every neighborhood
We could try
association,
to
because
do
there's
that.
only 4 of us on the committee,
We could try to hit a chairs meeting.
Yes.
Also, sometimes those.
which is
can be-
coming up next week.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, that. You're not here available.
We'll see.
I mean, those I find really helpful, because then they take them out.
And I would be good with that. Yeah, that's a great
And
idea.
then what we could do is have Irma send the policy out for all of the neighborhood associations to review.
Right, isn't that next week? I thought
It is, the
Okay.
chairs meeting is next
Yeah.
week, and then once that was presented to the chairs, to have each of the neighborhood associations to have a copy of the policy, electronic copy that they could share. That would solicit quite a bit of people
I like that.
to
Okay,
review
personally.
it.
And then come back here next
Mhm.
Yeah.
next month, yeah.
Yeah,
So what
Does
will,
anybody know when it is? It's
I-
26th.
Thursday.
Thursday, the 26th, 5:30, I think it's at Pringle Hall.
5:30 in the hall.
I'll put it on my calendar.
If you can't do it, I think we could probably figure out something.
I think just a brief presentation, just introducing why we're doing this. But just, I don't think it has to go into a lot of detail.
Because
just
what I
explaining
think what will
it is.
happen is, I think we're talking about the policy, so there would be more just kind of policy related, a short information on the policy. I know that we have brought to the neighborhood chairs meeting information about the modernization act, the Recycling Modernization Act. So they're aware of changes in solid waste. So this would be like, in addition, this is the city's policy that we're reviewing, and we can just ask for input. So I don't think it would need to be a huge one, but it would, I think, be best if it comes from staff. And then we can have Irma provide an electronic copy of that to all the neighborhood associations. And that would come to them most likely in April, because it's ready. And then probably at the May meeting, we could even encourage written testimony or testimony to this committee
Mhm.
for the May meeting that we could review. So again, we can take our time.
I think that sounds like a good idea.
So I will
That's a
make
good
a
plan.
motion that we bring a brief presentation to the neighborhood chairs meeting, March 26th. And then an electronic copy of the policy that has been prepared, provided to the neighborhood associations, hopefully for April, with the intent of testimony written or in person at the solid waste committee meeting in May. How does that sound?
That's quite a motion. I will second that.
But it's very well defined. We know what we're doing. Okay,
Okay.
all in favor?
I just wanted to ask, is that doable, that time frame, or does it need to be extended? It's up to,
I feel like 2 months is pretty comfortable for,
okay,
that you'll hit all the meetings for neighbor associations.
okay, thank you. Just wanted to
Is
ask.
that, because we would be the third Thursday of the month, for May, so. And if we found that there was quite a bit of communication, we could extend it. We could say, oh,
We could
we're
postpone
continuing
a
on,
month.
and when we go to our neighborhood associations, we can ask. Did they receive it? Do they have any questions?
Mhm.
How does that sound?
Yeah, there's no time frame on
Yeah.
getting this
Okay.
Yeah.
to city council, so this is just something that you guys wanted to work on and we brought back.
So we'll try to
Thank you.
unbake the cake and find out, and then, and then presented, once we have more testimony and opinions. And maybe edits if that becomes necessary. Does that sound okay?
Sounds good to me.
All right, so, motion approved, sounds like we all said yes.
Yes.
Any other questions on that? Great, okay, we have direction, yay!
Nice job, team.
So, Juliana, are you okay with all of that? You feel prepared, and any questions from you or anything else that you want?
I will be working with Callie and their staff, and we will do what we need to do.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the direction.
All right, great. So I think it's now my turn to just talk a little bit about the Materials Management Advisory Council that happened yesterday. I provided a brief summary of our meeting, and I would welcome Ryan, Juliana's, or Brian's support. Did you include this in anything? Okay. So I just had a what we primarily did at this meeting, we met, it was up in Woodburn.
This is what, I'll go back on.
Okay,
I'll be right back.
sorry. I was gonna give a verbal, but we'll get some, thank you. We weren't sure who all was coming and, or if we were having, we were gonna have a meeting. So we met, the meeting was in Woodburn, and Juliana, Ryan, myself attended, on Teams. And it was quite a large group, and I had, what I'll start out with is, I had prepared some questions for this committee, because I'm trying to get a better understanding of Marion County's budget for solid waste, what their expenses are, and how, with Covanta being closed, how this is going to change and affect the revenue for Marion County, and that will have impact on all of the cities with probably an increase in tipping fees and everything else. We also have the situation with Coffin Butte having continuous issues with their methane gas and DEQ. And so the Benton County so far hasn't issued an expansion as they want. So we're gonna have to be, when I say we, I was like, I feel inclusive in the whole area. So Marion County will need to be looking at places for movement of solid waste, landfills. And so anyway, my questions were the following. Historically, revenue sources, including tipping fees, franchise fees, recycling sales, and energy revenue, so I'm trying to get more details about that, how revenue and expenditures have shifted since the incinerator closed, current operating costs for transfer stations, the household hazardous waste, waste reduction, transportation, reserve levels, long-term plans, and goals tied to recent fee increases and how those revenues are projected to stabilize. And so Brian had a great presentation with all of that and answering the questions. And we can let him come up any moment, but what they're already looking at is a deficit of 25 million in about 5 years. Right?
Yep.
And uncertainty regarding landfill capacity and contracts, reduced fund balances, and county subsidizing. So there's a lot for materials management to look at. Part of why I asked these questions is because we're really rocking and rolling with the Remodernization Act, and we've made a lot of decisions for that, and that was part of the initial drive to have this. And the Haulers organization has really done a tremendously good job at getting organized with education for the Remodernization Act. And so that's why I kind of said, okay, now let's look at other things. Brian, would you like to come up and speak to this a little bit? You probably do a better job than I might, but it
Was
was,
that meeting recorded?
yes,
So it's available online?
yes. You got another one and you
Yeah,
can
we
go.
don't.
It was a lot of numbers.
It was a lot of numbers, yes.
Yeah, and I think I again appreciate council bringing these questions forward. I mean, this is the conversation we've been trying to have as we've been kind of winding down Covanta World in the process, and with that closure at the end of January of 2025, can't believe it's been a year already, but that has been a significant shift for us, for our solid waste funding. And I say the golden goose has died in that regards. It
Yeah.
kind of has for our fund and our solid waste fund and how we've done that. It's impacted my division drastically. We talked a little bit about waste reduction efforts with some of the things Rachel used to do. We currently have no waste reduction staff in Marion County. When I came in 10 years ago, we had 4 FTEs. We have 0 today. We continue to do our best to cut the budget as best we can. Councilor mentioned there are some FTE cuts. We're currently sitting at about a total of 24 FTEs. That's even down about 4.5 from where we were budgeted. We'll continue to be that way. We're currently in a hiring freeze, at least through July at Marion County. So we're not filling positions unless it deemed it's essential, and that's to go through a process to be filled. The good news, I mean, from a long-term aspect for kind of the aspects of what do we have out there for long-term funding requirements, we've fulfilled those. So we have post-closure requirements with the DEQ that are required. Anytime you close a landfill, you have a permit, you have to be able to close it immediately, do it appropriately, and then fund the maintenance of that facility for 30 years. So we've got about $15 million in reserves today to handle both of our landfill sites. So from that environmental side, we're in good shape. Now, that being said, for the rest of our funding, we were building a fund balance for capital improvements to deal with RMA, transportation capacities as Covanta closed, and now we're looking at this issue with Coffin Butte where waste is gonna have to go somewhere else. And then to that level, we're gonna have to spend money in infrastructure to reduce that waste volume, so recover more volume out of it, so we're not shipping it long distances. So the only problem now is that fund balance is now on the decline. We're deficit spending. We're actually consuming anywhere from about $300,000 to $400,000 a month out of our fund as we're going through conversations with the Board of Commissioners on how they want us to deal with this. So part of those things that have happened now is not filling waste reduction positions, cutting those costs. We've reduced our HHW, our household hazardous waste facility hours to just Thursdays. We're closing December, January. So we're doing what we can to trim where we can, but we're also reducing services. That's the toughest part of this. So,
Brian, is that after the 300,000 to 400,000? Is that after the rate increases for the transfer station?
yes, yeah. So part of that conversation actually was a great question again. So we did a rate increase. We raised the minimum charge from $25 to $30, which actually raised the charge per ton up to $130 a ton, which is a big number. I was actually joking with our haulers and others the other day. We have seen an increase in volume for our transfer stations after October 1. So we're not deterring people from throwing things away even at that rate. So we're continuing to see our volumes increase. The decision the board made there was just to try to use both sites. We were looking at a deficit of about 1.4 million a year at those sites and covering costs. So that's what the increase was just to cover the operational costs of the public services operating skirts, transportation, disposal, and the same thing out of the Copper North Marion facility. So that didn't cover overhead expenses or anything else. It was just to cover the physical operation of those locations. So we'd love to say we could stretch that dollar further, but not necessarily. The good news is, like I said, is good news, bad news, I guess. With tonnage being up, that is some additional revenue. So hopefully that'll help us a little bit more, but we're still looking at a somewhere deficit around $3.5 to $5 million.
And to the information, let's just briefly go over leachate, because that was a conversation or, testimony here. That was part of it. The leachate treatment challenge is because there's such a high salt content in it, there's limited places where it can go. And so this countywide, it's an issue too. It's not just us, it's not just Salem.
Right, so the ash bond fill leachate is unique because it's ash, it's not a garbage leachate, so it has a lot of different makeup and it's primarily the salts. We tried to get into the city of Salem, to dispose of our leachate, but there was a cadmium threshold. Not that we have a lot of cadmium, but we had just enough that it
You have to push it out.
wouldn't let us be part of the club, darn it. So the primary disposal for us then is a couple different facilities will take a small amount of it in the Portland market, but right now ours is being shipped to Portland in Eastern Oregon. So think of that long drive and a truck, it's not cheap. We're spending.
So it's a different place than Arlington.
It is, so it's further east than Arlington. So at about 34 to 35 cents per gallon is what it's costing us to dispose of that material. We generate on average about 3 million gallons. So our cost is about $1 million a year for leachate. We are projecting and budgeted this year for a higher volume, largely because we've had struggles in the past with having that volume or just our normal generation hauled. We've got an inventory between about 6.5 and 7 million gallons currently. The cool part of the lagoon is they've got these nice floating covers, and that keeps all the rainwater off. So we can separate the stormwater and it doesn't become leachate. The only problem is it deteriorates, and in 3 years it's time to replace that one. So now we have to draw that pond balance down and keep up with the data volume. So we're budgeting about $2.3 million to spend in this current year to try to catch that up. We gotta get that done in the next 3 years. So Covanta may be gone, but we still have some expenses, and that's our lingering expense out there is the Ashmont fill and the leachate generation. Back to that post-closure funding piece, we're going through a process now with an engineering firm to put an RFP out to cap or close the North Marion Ashmont fill, which will allow us to tap into those post-closure funding. So to do that construction, we'll pull those funds that have been set aside. And the intent with that, with the closure, with the liner systems and everything, is that we won't generate as much leachate. So we should in about 3 years see that drop off.
Good.
So, knock on something.
Right, great. Thank you for coming out to the table and providing that. It's a much better job than I would have done. Do you have any questions?
Oh, I have questions, I just don't know how to ask them.
Well, yeah, welcome to the crowd. It was an informative meeting. I did send the presentation from that meeting to Callie and to Ryan if you want to see it. It may be something worthwhile that can be shared. It really did give a lot of numbers, as Brian says, but it comes down to showing that Covanta has made a change, and that Marion County is working on it, but there's still challenges would be a good word.
Opportunities?
Financial challenges that they see. They're trying to make up for it, unfortunately, by losing staff that had great programs. And so one has to get concerned with those programs or the hazardous household waste being closed. People may not be able to know where to take things or when or what opportunities there might be. So it could lead to some other issues. There's all those compounding situations that we'll have to see how it affects the collection and what's happening. But I think that more importantly, I just really wanted this group to be incredibly aware of the challenges that Marion County has, because our focus has been on the Remodernization Act and things we needed to do, but this is still quite a big deal. And I think Commissioner Cameron's goal was also to have this information out and have a committee that was trying to determine what should be done. And so this was my opportunity to say, here are some questions to begin that process.
Much appreciated.
So, anyway, that's where we are. And did she give you a copy of the questions as well as
I
what?
didn't do the question.
Okay, no worries, I can send them to you.
I will.
Okay.
I'll send the presentation and the questions to the committee.
Okay, that would be great. Why did you say the salt content is so high in the, I missed that.
So it's just part of that incineration process. There's a fair amount of lime that's used within the food stabilization. So it just ends up with a very saltish content. It's kind of different because it's burnt.
So their leachate is dry. I mean, it's kind of dry, I mean, if it's, because you say it's ashy. I mean,
Well, it's the water that percolates through the ash.
Oh, through the ash,
Yeah.
okay,
Like
so
fly.
and that's
So-
why it's got the cover over
So
it.
it's very interesting because ours is actually clear. It looks like water. You
Don't
look at-
drink it.
You look at normal landfill leachate and it is black.
Yeah,
It has a
I-
different,
yeah.
much different odor to it. So
It is interesting because
Yeah.
this incineration
it's
changes
just,
all.
yeah, just the filtration. So you don't have the organic content that you would in a
So it's organic.
ash molecule or a salt waste molecule.
Wow.
Sounds like we need a trip out to look at clear leachate.
Yeah, Andrew will likely even let you walk on water. Which is very interesting on a floating cover, but you can't walk on
I think
water.
I'll pass.
Don't fall in the leachate. Well,
Was there, one other
Oh, yeah,
thing,
please.
during this discussion, was there any particular feedback that stood out or anything from any of the other group members? I was just kind of curious.
Hopefully you'll have a packet with had the details financially, literally, we have that above and beyond the PowerPoint. It was full transparency, it was 5 years worth of financial data. Just so everybody could literally see every revenue stream and every expense line item. So there was questions about capital expenditures. You'll see in our 25-26 budget, we show where we're gonna have a deficit of like $32 million. Well, we're not doing that. So we're not doing the transfer station acquisition as part of purchasing land and building that. So a lot of cuts have happened
Okay.
to avoid going to a certain.
the cliff,
Yeah.
to avoid the big cliff.
So, but there were just sporadic questions from
Yeah.
members about different line items they showed interest in.
Yeah, I think,
Thank you.
sometimes people are drawn to a particular
Yep.
item
Right,
and so they
right.
ask questions about that. And it was a lot of information, but again, I think intent was just to try to provide some very factual information on the cost of solid waste and getting members of the commission kind of, or the advisory committee up to understanding what's going on.
I think the big thing to know, and looking at Shane behind us, is if and when Marion County makes a decision to change our disposal rate.
Yeah.
That has a major trickle down effect to the curb.
Yes, it does.
And we know we have 20 city jurisdictions in Marion County that would be required to make rate adjustments, which requires that team to be out in 20 cities getting those rate increases. So even though Marion County is losing $300,000 to $500,000 a month, that decision may be delayed to allow that education and outreach. So the use of MMAC to lay it out for at least 8 cities so that they have a deeper understanding and take that back home is important to us.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
eventually we'll be getting there at some point. And
Do you have an idea of that?
bonus on that. You know, I think we've had this conversation for about 6 months now.
It's been ongoing.
It's been ongoing. No, I don't. The last work session we had with the board, Resource, who is basically the conglomerate now that takes all of the waste in Marion County. I mean, we pumped almost 400,000 tons through that facility last year in 2025. they are also into a financial situation where they're looking at rate structure increases, so the board has asked us to make sure we figure out what that looks like. And then come with kind of a combined ask, so it's not a one-on-one kind of thing, so we're in that process. I'm hoping to get in front of the board in late April with that analysis, so they can have
And
a
then
decision.
it would take a few months for the haulers to be
Yeah,
analyzing that.
at a minimum, because if we would go and implement that, that would be a hardship on those companies not to have those rates in place beforehand. So that being said, if we do a rate increase, they'll be coming to sale.
Okay,
For
coming
sure.
to us to
Yeah.
see it.
I mean, is there a
19.
thought of making the effective date far enough out that you could have that discussion so we could align the timing on that?
Yes, that's-
I think that would be the goal, and it's just, again, back to the board of commissioners on how far what's that look like? I mean, in an ideal world, we'd say January 1 sounds like a great time, but you start doing, you want a low end $300,000 for the next 7 months, or,
adds up.
yeah,
Yeah, but we're gonna get close to that anyways, right?
we're gonna be
Where
in
we're
there,
at.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it may end up being potentially fall that we're hearing, but. So,
Exactly.
and
There's notice requirements, and everything else.
Yeah.
Everything that goes,
Just backs up.
by that by 20 cities.
Yeah,
And Marion County, and stuff, that's the 21.
Well, even better reasons for us to move forward with the waste minimization policy.
mhm.
It's that extra little kick in need, definitely.
Yeah, so I think bringing this policy forward to, the neighborhood associations and, just have them, again, just the information, like, oh, we have a policy and, we can talk about how solid waste is expensive and, it
Yeah,
just
we're
kind of
looking,
continues the story so that people are kept informed.
we're
And-
looking
and-
at more and more increases, and the more they can help,
Correct.
the less expensive it's gonna be.
Use your food waste bin, use the
Yeah.
recycling bin,
Exactly.
decrease the waste that you have.
Mhm.
So it will be a continuation story, won't it? Great, thank you very much. I'm not paying attention to time. So, let's see. Good questions. Thank you for your patience with all of that, but I think it's quite important for this committee to know what's happening at the county level because it's all connected. And for even us to have a real clear picture of why solid waste rates change and we need to make sure that we are aware of the whole system. Okay,
Next one, more question.
You
about
may,
the
of
minutes.
course
I'm
you
sorry. I was looking, the first formal subcommittee meeting is scheduled for next month. What,
so we'll
I
let
just-
Brian talk a little, it was just the meeting before that they established a subcommittee.
I was just curious as to what it was.
And I think the
Focusing on.
subcommittee is really trying to, because our committee is quite large.
Right,
And,
right.
and it's challenging to get things completed.
Yeah, so this group has been great in what you've done over the years. I view Salem as some of the most educated on solid waste. So you are some of the most educated bodies of elected officials for sure in the county on what's happening. I started talking to Commissioner Cameron, who's our chair, and then Mayor Frank Lonergan, who's our vice chair. I said OTR, and there's this group that meets every month and they do these great things. And I got that really glossy-eyed look that you don't want from an elected official, right? And saying,
It happens a lot.
and they have no idea what's going on, right? So this is something that's been happening quietly for years. Where we have this OTR requirement, we have these expectations for DEQ, reports are being submitted, and nobody knows about it except usually the city manager might sign a piece of paper once a year and submit it. That's it.
Okay.
So our intent is we wanted to really bring it forward because it is important. We want to reduce waste. This group has been meeting monthly for a couple of years now. And with the change of Solid Waste Advisory Council to the Materials Management Advisory Council, we wanted to bring this and formalize it. So we wanted to tuck it in as a formal committee. So there's public notice, there's education outreach components that are tied to this. It's all our requirements, and we're gonna bring that to the MMAC each month as far as what they're doing and how they're doing it. So it's just more to formalize a lot of great work that's being done.
Well, thank you. And again, the subcommittee will do a lot of work, and then that will come through to the Materials Management Advisory Group. And I think, again, that will help us sort of be able to move forward. It'll help provide direction or drive, at least, to accomplish the things that we hope to do within that committee, which then affects all the cities in Marion County.
Sure.
If I could just jump in real quick on
Yes,
this. One of the things that I found really valuable is a lot of the staff members who are a part of this have 0 to 1 full-time staff working on this. So it's really been able to increase our capacity to do the state mandated requirements for OTR. So huge kudos to Brian, Corey, and the staff of Marion County for giving a space for this impact network and to help support us in meeting our goals. And Kaiser, Jenny over there, she's very organized, and we get to steal a lot of the organization tasks that she does. So it's really helpful for us to be a part of it, and for them to continue to hold that space.
thank you for sharing. And then anytime if you've got something that you want to report to us from, to this committee from that, I would welcome. Always. So, good. Any other questions? Brian, really appreciate it. Jane, do you have anything that you want to add or bring to us? How are things going with getting all the information out for the remodernization? I know you've got your bailers approved and
I'm not sure.
Almost.
almost, okay, maybe not quite yet.
We're shooting for May 1st, kind of is what we talked about yesterday, to get what I presented at the last solid waste committee meeting. We're kind of trying to get all the funding figured out.
Yes,
I think that'd be one update today, maybe it's the city of Salem funding. We're gonna kind of,
yeah. Do you want to, would you, Brian, would you
I
like?
can provide a brief update.
Yes, please do so.
So right now we're, what was described and talked about during the MMAC meeting yesterday is that City of Salem is I forgot the terminology, but if that's not gonna be funneled through the county for FY '26, but we're going to be working directly with the haulers. And so we just need to get that agreement letter, MOU, sorted out with them. In fact, we have a meeting 1 o'clock tomorrow. We're gonna be just maybe talking about that. So we'll get that set up, and a little bit of the difficulty around that, why we're not able to go through the county, is just more of kind of I'm just gonna call it administrative red tape. And there's the amount of money that we're talking about, but also the short period of time. We're finding a workaround that we wouldn't otherwise be able to get that completed in time to be able to have that funding available in FY '26 to be able to do some of the work we need to do. But going forward for FY '27, the plan is to work through the county and have that in place, hopefully, so we can have that going through the same channel as all the rest of the cities.
Okay, so Ryan, let's just back up just a little bit
Sure.
and remind this committee that the original intent with the funding that comes in for the Remodernization Act, initially we were going to have county do that, which other
Right.
cities are, or at least the majority. And then, but because the process is a lot of red tape, as you were saying, that right now we've held back, Salem has held back, and it's happening slightly different with basically the same goals.
Right. Yep.
And so the intent is that once you've gone through this at least a while, it might be that then will we be changing that? My question now is, in 2027 or 28, are we thinking then that if the money wouldn't be coming through Salem and it would be going through Marion County, or is that not the goal?
So either way, the money won't be coming through the city.
Oh, okay,
We delegated.
Yeah,
to
we
the
delegate it
federal-
either to the haulers
Right.
or to the county. And
okay,
because of the legal requirements from that we were recommended to use, and having the county sign a funding agreement in just a form of a simple letter, just the steps to get that approved on the county side were time preventative. So that's why we're going this route this year. And it may need to happen next year as well. We don't really know yet.
okay,
So, yeah, we're working on getting it straight to the haulers so that the funding of
okay,
the kiosks, if you remember from the presentation.
And the portable, the kiosk and the.
yeah, the
portable demonstration
educational,
fees.
Yeah.
educational materials.
Right, right.
So that's hopefully what the haulers will be able to spend a portion of this contamination reduction funding for this fiscal year on.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, and that was like 15,000 and then 17,000 for those things, and that funding would be there. So maybe again, I just need to be sure I understand. Originally, it was gonna go through county to them, but now it's gonna go direct to the haulers, or am I still?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
exactly, yes.
And council authorized that, I mean, when you approved forget what it was
The funding
called.
authorization.
The funding authorization.
That's
it
the one
was-
we asked that
it was
manager
either-
sign.
It was either direction.
Yeah, okay. So that, but I know that with the AC committee was waiting to have that clarity, and then it was last meeting, yesterday, that it was like, oh, it's coming, through Salem. So that was my first reality of it changed a little bit.
Yeah, it's been
Apologize for-
ongoing.
Apologize for not providing some,
That's
Heads up
okay.
on that.
It's
No,
okay.
we've been working through it, that there hasn't really been a formal update because it hasn't been settled. So we've just been working through the process to try to get the money to where it needs to go.
All right. Anything else, Shane? Anything okay, so, all right.
we're good.
All right, well, I think then we get to adjourn a little bit early. And our next meeting is on the, what was it, the 16th of April. And by then, maybe some of us will have had a neighborhood association meeting where information has been provided on the policy. And then you can bring that back to any feedback. That'd be great.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you, everyone. The meeting is adjourned.